Now, 11 million people, that's 1 in 4 adults here in Britain, claim to have seen a ghost. And that is the highest number on record, according to a recent survey.
With shows such as Most Haunted, Ghost Hunters and Famous and Frightened pulling in millions of viewers, the psychologist and paranormal investigator, Professor Richard Wiseman, he's an investigator of the paranormal, he's not paranormal himself, thinks those experiences may be more to do with TV than psychic activity.
To tell us more, he's here. Morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. 1 in 4 claims to have seen a ghost.
Absolutely.
What exactly do they say they're seeing?
Well, ghost sightings have all sorts of different experiences. Some people say they just kind of actually see an apparition. Other people just have a sense of presence. Some people hear some weird noises. So all sorts of things there.
So a sense of presence is enough to say, I feel some paranormal activity?
Absolutely. Actually, seeing a ghost is very, very rare, but experiencing one is surprisingly common.
OK.
Yeah.
Right. And you're saying that there's no such thing?
Well, I've written a book called Paranormality, which is about the psychology of these sorts of paranormal experiences. So whether it's going to see a psychic or having an out-of-body experience or seeing a ghost, it's about the psychology behind these things. And I think there is a psychology here. I don't think we're looking at anything paranormal.
What is the psychology then behind it?
Well, it depends on the ghost experience. So lots of people will wake up in the middle of the night, they'll see a ghost at the foot of their bed and they're very scared by that. In fact, when you dream, you're completely paralysed, so you don't move around. When you come out of that dream state into a waking state, often the dream imagery carries over, you're paralysed, and so you think the ghost is holding you down, and there you have that weird experience. And once people know that, they're a lot more comforted.
What is what about people seeing ghosts when they haven't just woken up? I mean, you've got various different pictures here,
Sure.
for instance, that here on the wall. What is that?
That's essentially a long exposure. So this
I
is
see, there's
taken
a ghost on the side. Yeah.
So these were images were sent in a project we did looking for ghost photos. And here, because this is taken at night, the camera's automatically gone into night mode. It's a long exposure. The person thinks they've caught a ghost. In fact, it's someone just walking past them.
You can't prove it, though, can you? You can't prove that people haven't seen a ghost.
You can't prove any of these things aren't paranormal. What you can do is look at the psychology behind them, see if you can explain them. And it's exactly the same if you go to a psychic, for example, somebody who appears to know all about you. Well, the truth is all sorts of psychological tricks they'll use to convince you that's the case.
That's rather different. But what about, so you dealt with seeing things. What about people feeling things? For instance, I've had a long conversation once with somebody who said they were moved into a house and one of the rooms was always very, very cold. The dog wouldn't go in there and experienced various other things in the same building. What is that then?
Well, there is a complexity to it. So it could be in those sorts of cases. There's something called infrasound, which are very low frequency sound waves that can be caused by rumbling traffic or wind across an open window. And there it could be the animals picking that up, and some people it makes them feel very uneasy.
Low temperatures?
Well, again, if you become very afraid of a particular place, you become very cold. So the psychology behind it, the science behind it, absolutely fascinating.
So do people who believe in ghosts, are you saying those are more suggestible people?
The book talks a lot about suggestibility. There are tests in there to find out how suggestible you are. And the fact is that some people, when you suggest, oh my goodness, this is a haunted place, suddenly do feel very afraid, suddenly start listening out for creaking doors and thinking there's a ghost there. So suggestibility is a big part of it.
And women and children tend to be more susceptible than men, not suggestible than men, aren't they?
Well, certainly there's a higher belief in ghosts amongst women. It could be that they're simply more honest in these surveys. It's more culturally acceptable to say you believe in ghosts if you're female versus male. And children, we know, very strong imaginations, they have imaginary friends and so on. Again, there's a psychology to be unpacked there.
You see, some people would say that they're actually more receptive to things that we can't feel.
You could say that, but I think what's interesting is once you understand the psychology of it, the science of it, these experiences, which are often terrifying for people, actually become a lot more comforting. They think, oh, I understand, it's just my brain playing a trick on me and so on. So yes, it could be that, but I think understanding the psychology of it is important.
In that case, if there's no such thing as paranormal and no such thing as ghosts, then mediums, in your view, must be fraudsters.
Well, not necessarily fraudulent in the sense of consciously faking it, but if you go to a medium and they appear to tell you all about your deceased friends and family, there's all sorts of psychological tricks they might be using. And it's incredible. People go along to these mediums, they base their life on the advice they're given. There's no regulation here. They wouldn't go along and buy a second-hand car knowing nothing about cars at all, yet they go along to these people not understanding the tricks of the trade, as it were, and the book covers all of that in order that people can go along, they can make an informed choice.
You know that loads of people are going to be writing in to say, I believe in it, I've seen it, or I am a medium, I know it works. And there isn't really fact on either side, is there? That's the difficulty.
Well, there is fact. I mean, it's just very difficult, I think, to get the other message out. I mean, there's lots of television programmes, as you say, suggesting that ghosts exist. We're putting the other side of the argument here. So the challenge is, if you've had these experiences, read about it and then decide.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And the book is called Paranormality.
It is indeed.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very
Thank you.
Thank you.
Professor Richard Wiseman there. Let us know your thoughts on that at the time, just after a 22.